Okay, we're going to jump into light medium. And so light medium in our background here, and this is going to be kind of a little bit of an irregular edge, because we didn't want it to be a solid hard line, but this is just a little bit of darker. Now this brush that I had a little bit of green in it to go with my blacky brown. I'm kind of liking the little bit of green. And so it has that band right there that's just a little bit darker right over here. If we need it to be a little bit more browny, let's do that. A little more brown in it. Poof! And remember, if that's too dark, then I can always come back like this and pull out some of the pigment. Okay, so now that we've established that, let's come in, bring our Bootsy picture up a little bit like this. Come in here so we can see where we're working. Let's start up at the top. Remember, we have this, and so we got to put our next darkest value. Is going to be right along here, a little bit of this as it's coming down and around. And I'm going to make this into 3 values. And then also on the other side, we also had a little bit of this. And hopefully this is going to start looking kind of bootsy. And I'm going to cover this whole area in here like that for the time being. Like that. You're right, there's too much. Okay, I'm going to pull a little bit of this out. Now it's going to go darker down here, and it's going to go darker on this back side over here as well. Back over here, I'm going to go here and I'm going to trace just a little bit of that next darker value in here, right beside my lightest area. Going to surround it. A lot of times it's good to surround your values as you make them. And what do I mean is see, I have that light value right there, and so I'm surrounding it by the medium value that I have right here. And kind of like that, and then this is a little bigger here. Has a little bit of a lighter value in there, but we'll deal with that. And then this was coming out a little longer. Maybe right along here. And I wanted to get a little bit darker, kind of like that. Okay, so there's the light area in the middle, surrounded by the dark, just like we had a light area in here, surrounded by a slightly darker area here. That's sweet. And then up on the back side over here too, remember we had this part, and so we're going to come here and surround it a little bit by our next darker value. And then we're also going to go right here up on the edge. I got to get a little bit more juice. And then this one came down about like that. The whole goal of the painting of these surfaces is to show value change. So it starts out with one value and then it changes as it comes down and across. Okay, so a light area in the middle, surrounded by a dark, light area in the middle, surrounded by dark, light area in the middle, surrounded by dark. And so that's how we're building this painting up here. You'll notice we have kind of some light areas right over here, and then they're surrounded by some dark. This one has some light areas over here. We've surrounded them by dark. This one had some light areas in the top, and we're surrounding them by dark. And by dark, I don't mean like pitch black or anything like that. They're just a little bit darker. Okay, let's go up over here. We had some, it kind of came across the bootstrap as well. Like that. Maybe a teeny weeny little line of it, of this darker value now can come over here. Now remember I told you we're going to paint on top? That's what I'm doing right now. Okay, let's pull this back down over here so we can see what's happening. See, I filled this whole area in with the light value. And so now I can come back in and I can put a little bit of that slightly darker value that's in there in the little teeny shapes that they're in. That's a little bit too dark. So I'm going to pull some of that out. There we go. And so some of these little shapes that you see, now this one there was some darker that was down over here like this. And so we're painting in on top of some of that. And it kind of followed the strap out back this way, but it was broken up. It wasn't like a hard straight line. It was an irregular line area, and that irregular line stuff, then there's a glumpy shape that came up here like this. We got that guy. There's maybe a little bit of value coming down along this seam line right there like that. Make this guy a little bigger. That's that one. Add a little bit of a line there coming in like that. Then we add a little bit of that guy. Remember, this is where the light source is coming in. So this is, we can leave now all these light areas that are there. And we have those little bits like that. Okay, so some of this value comes in here. And kind of comes all the way in down like this. Now it's going to get a little bit darker in here too. And then this stuff can come down into here. And be right next to this other. And make it irregular. It's not a straight line, make it an irregular line. Like that. Now this goes pretty dark on this other side, like over here, but we do need a little, we needed to transition, so there's going to be a little bit of a darker line area right next to this light value. Like that. Because it does go pretty fast. It can get a little wider right in here. Remember, the goal is to have it change value as it goes across the surface area of the boot. So it's light over here, then it goes light medium, and then it's going to gradually go darker as it shifts on across. Okay. And we're kind of just taking this in sections. Sometimes it's easier to, like this is, we did the top section here, then we did the strappy section, then we can go into the boot section down here. I'm going to do a lot of that. This one has some bigger areas of our dark medium value. And it's going to go all the way like this. And get my bigger brush. Oh, we're getting down here to the bottom where you can't see what I'm doing. Let's move that up just a wee bit. And so these darker values are covering a slightly bigger area. Down in through here. And then I'm going to come across here. I'm going to fill all of this in. This is where that line was. Okay. Let's now put there's some cloudy values here just on the surface of the boot right here. And let's come right up to here. Remember, it's got to be a little darker. I changed. When I dipped a little bit more pigment into my brush area. And then just a little bit down right over here too. Got that piece right there. And so we're setting the stage kind of on that. I'm going to leave that kind of like that. All right, sweetness. And then I think I'm going to let that dry.